Hi, this is Carol Pope.
Hi, I'm Kevin Staples.
And you're listening to Rainbow Country
with Mark Tara.
The views and opinions expressed on the following program are those of the persons appearing on the program.
Today on Rainbow Country, coverage of the 48th edition of the Toronto International Film Festival continues with 3 Canadian queer films: the award-winning Solo, the documentary Summer Qamp, and the short Bloom. That and more in episode 377, so stay tuned for Gay Talk Radio right here on Rainbow Country.
Hello, my name is Conchita.
And I'm Barbecue.
And my name is Hardcora. And we are the Beat Girls.
You're listening to
Rainbow Country with Mark Tara.
Well, hello and welcome to a brand new journey through Rainbow Country. As I like to call it, a little gay radio show working to give voice to the LGBT community and beyond. And as always, I am your tour guide through Rainbow Country. I'm producer and host, Mark Tara. By the way, Rainbow Country originates from CIUT-FM in Toronto, and now proudly in syndication on 12 outlets across Canada, from coast to coast to coast. The Yukon, British Columbia, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, the east coast of Canada in Newfoundland, Ontario, even down to Buffalo, New York, and online. Well, thanks to you tuning in, streaming, downloading, but ultimately listening. Together, we continue to build Rainbow Country into a nationally syndicated gay radio show, a #1 LGBT podcast on Podomatic.com's Gay and Lesbian chart, as well as being recognized as Canada's #1 LGBT podcast on feedspot.com. So today I have 2 on location and 1 virtual interview from the 48th Toronto International Film Festival. By the way, all these films are LGBT Canadian films. Solo. This French-Canadian film tells a queer love story set against Montreal's drag scene. I catch up with award-winning Canadian actor and the star of Solo, Felix Maritaud. Summer Qamp. At fYrefly in rural Alberta, queer, non-binary, and trans teens get to be kids in a supportive space surrounded by counselors who can relate to their experience. I catch up with award-winning filmmaker Jen Markowitz to talk all about Summer Qamp. Plus in hour 2, music from LGBT artists, independent artists, voices that we've come to know and love in classic disco, classic 80s, classic house, and on this episode I'm featuring some classic rock, some queer blues, and more. All that lies ahead as we start Journey 377 through Rainbow Country. And first up, he comes from an editing and music video background. Today he joins me to talk about his latest short film, Bloom. Abandoned by her partner, Laurel stumbles through heartbreak and grows a strange connection to a houseplant. Up next, my virtual interview with award-winning filmmaker Kasey Lum. Kasey Lum, hi, how are you?
I'm doing great.
Let's just jump right in. Bloom, talk to me about the story that you're telling in this short.
Yeah, so Bloom was sort of it was a story that was developed over, like many other, I'm sure, creatives and filmmakers during the COVID time. People were, feeling like they wanted to make something, and so I made this, and it's sort of a reflection of the feeling of isolation, the feeling of being detached from nature and being detached from socializing, and relationships. And so this was sort of symbolic of that. Telling this story was maybe a bit of a metaphor of that, for those feelings. And it's funny, I find when I'm like during the first screening, I had to do a Q&A, and it's so hard to talk about like a surreal film, because I mean, it's easy to talk about specifics, but like in general, it's just like, it's such a abstract piece that it's talking about it, I get lost talking about it. So
Okay.
but yeah, it's sort of stemmed all from COVID and those feelings that I'm sure many people were having at that time.
Are you a fan of the movie Invasion of the Body Snatchers? Have you ever seen it?
People might put me on a stake here, but have never seen it.
Okay. There are a few versions. There's one from the 50s, I believe, and one from the 70s with Donald Sutherland. And there's a more modern one with Nicole Kidman. And the reason that I brought that up is because your short reminds me of elements of that, especially when it comes to the relationship between plants and humans.
Right.
Yeah.
Is it because I've never seen the Body Snatchers, is there an element of people being sort of, like
taken
controlled
over
or taken over, right?
Correct. Bingo.
Well, that's cool. That's cool. That's a classic film.
And it is a classic film, Invasion of the Body Snatchers. That's your homework.
I have to watch it.
My understanding is the short may become a feature.
I've had this conversation with a few people, and though it was, I do like the timing of like the container that this film the story is presented in as a short. I am open to exploring the idea of a longer version, possible, feature length. But I do think it lands at like a really nice time, and like the story can be summed up in that amount of time. But I mean, if I'll have to watch Body Snatchers, and maybe I'll get some more ideas. And
it's such a good movie. I think it's from the 50s. It's black and white. Check that one out, and the 70s one. They're so good.
Okay,
they're so good. The plant in your film, is it real?
So the plant in the film is it's a bonsai derivative, and we've taken that real bonsai derivative, but we've added to it. So near the end of the film, I won't give too much away, but you'll see it's been altered, and there is no species of plant that looks exactly like that at the end. We just had some fun playing with the surreality. Is that a word? Of the plant.
It's a little alien.
Yeah, exactly.
Otherworldly, potentially.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to me about actor Jodi Balfour. I think that's how you say her name. She stars in the short. Excellent. So she comes home and she says her partner's name. Is her partner Hannah?
Yes, her partner's Hannah.
So is she in a same-sex relationship?
She is.
Talk to me about that. Because it could have been just Hank.
It could have, I think.
But why did you choose that?
I think I think I wanted to stay away from this feeling of maybe for I watched the film. Maybe I shouldn't talk about this film, but I watched The Dead Don't Hurt last night, and there's this idea of like women being helpless when it comes to like a woman and a man's relationship and this sense of power dynamic. And I feel like I didn't want to write a story where a man leaves and a woman is just broken down. I think I wanted to write a story that is from, just other people's perspective. It's two women that may have had a really strong bond together in a relationship, and there was no preconceived notions of power, and who is weak and who is strong, and but that all sort of developed over time, and the idea of Jodi.
Was she involved in the script writing as well?
No, she wasn't. The script, came from. It was a very small script to begin with. It still is a very small script. We ended with a very small script, but over the development, when she sort of got eyes on it and she was open to being involved, I knew that it had to be Jodi, and it felt just fitting. I really wanted to just lean into Jodi as a person. I told her, you don't have to use an American accent. Let's go with, she's South African, so let's use your natural accent, and just, I want you to bring everything you have experienced in your life to the table. And then you see it all there on the screen, and she's done an amazing job, and honestly blew everybody away. First day of shooting was just, it was like watching my baby being, taken away, and it became someone else's baby, which is, it may be frightening for some people, but for me, it was kind of a beautiful thing. I was like, this is, I couldn't have asked for a better collaborator and performance.
And people might know Jodi from Apple TV's amazing show For All Mankind. That is such a good show, and she plays at least a bisexual person, but definitely someone who's in a same-sex relationship. And she's excellent. She's so good. I love that show.
This is For All Mankind. Jodi might get mad at me, but I haven't actually seen episodes of that show. But I've seen other things she's been in. Well, okay, so that's interesting. So she's in a same-sex marriage in that show.
Well, she's not. Well. She's not. Well, actually, spoiler alert, people, but get over yourself. She's married to a gay guy.
Oh, interesting.
And because it's in the 60s and they're working for NASA, they have to keep everything under the cover, so to speak. So they have a marriage of convenience, but she ends up, falling in love with a woman. And it's one of these Elsewhere shows. It's an alternative Earth, so to speak, but it's so good. It's so good. Was your short, Bloom, was it shot on film?
Yes, it was. It was shot on 35 millimeter film.
Why that choice?
Myself and the director of photography, Qamp, we've worked together for I'm almost getting on probably 7 or 8 years now, and we've always opted to try to make projects on film, just because there's a sort of a magic behind, for me at least, there's a magic behind when that, first of all, from the imagery standpoint, but when you're just rolling film, there's this okay, now everybody, money's moving through this camera. We have to stop what we're doing, and we have to do the best we can. But I don't know. I just love the look of it, and I
agree.
I think you can achieve things that aren't maybe fully possible with digital mediums.
Something else you chose to do on this film, Bloom is you chose to edit it. Why?
Yes. Because I'm a control freak. No, I just
editing
like to see...
something, editing hours and hours and hours of film down to so many minutes, I would think can be overwhelming at times. But you chose to do this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like everybody who works in this industry. By now, I think you realize that a lot of the directing happens again in post-production. You make the film, numerous times over the course of the span of the production. So I just wanted to make sure that the story that I wrote was, going to finish the way I was going to, appear the way I wanted it to appear. And I think having control over the editing, and I also come from a background of, that's sort of how I got into film, was I shadowed an editor named Matthew Griffiths for many years, and he taught me the ways of cutting films and videos together. So I just enjoy it. It's sort of a meditative thing for me as well, just to watch images and pair music and pair things together.
Okay, so 2018, Kingspin won 6 awards at various film festivals, including Best Director for Yourself. So here's a question: winning an award, especially getting one for Best Director, what does that? What did that mean to you to receive that, especially for Best Director?
That's really nice. You've done a little bit of homework, Mark. Yeah, that was my first short film, and that award was sort of a sign of, first of all, it was a sign of like, okay, maybe I'm actually okay at this at this work, and it was just, it kind of encouraged me to move forward and write more and pursue this crazy industry further. So it was really like a wonderful thing to have been awarded Best Director through that festival, and it was, I cherish that to this day. I still have the Laurel that I printed out somewhere in my office desk. I'm going to keep it there for as long as I can.
And so you should. And so you should. I often, in the back of my mind, when I ask people that have won awards and they say, oh, it's there somewhere, in the back of my mind, I'm like, if that was me, I would display every award. And by the way, I have none, so I am a loser many times over. But I would display whatever I have, because I know that I'm on the right track. And I think that's the most important thing, is to know that you're on the right track. Is it nice to be recognized? Sure. But it's not necessarily why someone does it, like yourself as a filmmaker. Here's my last question for you. What do you hope audiences come away with when they see one of your projects, including this one, Bloom? What do you hope audiences come away with after seeing your work?
I hope that people have different reactions to the film, as I'm sure, when you watch any film, your perspective on the film is so subjective from the person sitting next to you. But I really want people for it to connect with them in whatever way that is, and that they can see pieces of themselves in the film, and in any future project I work on or past project. the reason why I got into film in the first place is I love feeling certain ways when I watch things, and I think it really has an impact on like the way we end up living our lives, even if we don't feel it directly. I think indirectly, these media we watch, and by media I mean film and other forms of art, does affect us on a subconscious level. So I hope people can see things in this film that they can relate to, and they just take, I don't even know what it would be away from it, but they take something away from it.
Well said, well said. Kasey Lum, thank you so much for your time. Well said, well done, well filmed, on film.
Thank you so much, Mark.
We need more of that. We need more film. Celluloid.
We do. we do.
Bloom is currently doing the film festival circuit scene. The next showing, Chilliwack Independent Film Festival, November 18th. For more information on award-winning director Kasey Lum, simply visit boldly.ca.
Hi, everybody. This is Gino Vanelli. You're listening to Rainbow Country with Mark Tara.
Up next, my on-location interview with award-winning filmmaker Jen Markowitz to talk about her award-winning Canadian documentary, Summer Camp. Jen Markowitz, hi, how are you?
Hi, I'm doing very well. Thank you for having me.
I have to say, it's a pleasure to meet you. I saw your film, Summer Camp with a Q.
Yes.
Powerful film, provocative film, well done film, well shot film. Thank you for being here to have your voice, your story be heard by the LGBT community and beyond. So thank you for that. Talk to me about this documentary, Summer Camp, and essentially what this film is about, this documentary is about.
This film is about a session at Qamp fYrefly, which is located in Alberta. It is a summer camp for queer and trans youth. And it's a chance for, a group of around 75 campers every summer. They gather there and they really do a lot of letting go and looking into themselves, figuring out who they are. And for many of them, it's the first time in their lives that they can really know that they are safe in every way, because they are surrounded by a staff and also other campers who are entirely from the same intersections that they are from.
Okay, so talk to me about Qamp fYrefly. How did you first hear about Qamp fYrefly?
There is a series of similar camps across North America for queer and trans kids, and Qamp fYrefly in particular, Tegan and Sarah are affiliated with it, and Tegan and Sarah are friends with two of our EPs, Hello Friend Media. So they made that connection, and then Hello Friend, along with Cineflix and Bright West Entertainment, as well as the camp, worked together to create a plan to come and make this documentary. And, we got the kids on board, we got their parents on board, and we got a lot of the staff on board as well.
How long did it take to make Summer Camp? How long was the filming process?
Camp is only 5 days.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So...
And were you there for the full 5 days?
I was there for the full 5 days.
Okay.
And then on either side of those 5 days, we also spent a couple of days doing interviews at home with our main subjects. So it was not a tremendously long process. It was probably 2 weeks door to door, I think.
So the response to this film, this documentary, how's the response been?
The response has been overwhelmingly positive. Yeah.
And does that surprise you? Are you happy with that?
I'm very happy with that. I think most importantly, the response that I've gotten from the participants who were in the film has been glowing. And that was my number one concern. It's still early in the game. I am expecting some responses, some anti-queer, anti-trans responses as well. But you know what? Those can happen. I don't care. I'm ready for that. I don't care. That's not important to me.
I'm interested to know, during the course of maybe researching this, filming this, editing this, putting this film together, this documentary together, did things surprise you? Did things come up for you in regards to maybe issues that the kids were facing, that they were talking about, honestly and openly talking about? Like some of these, these conversations that these kids were having, it's powerful and it's thought-provoking. I think mostly thought-provoking, especially if people are parents and their kids might be, part of the LGBT community possibly. While creating this documentary, did anything come across, strike you as being, that's interesting that these people are saying that?
Yeah, what struck me about these campers were just how open they were about the trials and tribulations of growing up. They were open with each other. They were open with me. They were incredibly self-aware themselves. And it really opened my eyes to the fact that this is a generation of young people that is incredibly evolved in compared to what I was as that age myself, and in comparison to what I was expecting from them. I walked into the project thinking I knew who I was, and I knew most of the things there were to know about this community, being my community. And I was very quickly realized that there was so much going on that I was enthusiastic to learn from these campers. I learned so much. I didn't expect to learn so much from them about the culture and about myself at the same time.
Okay, so quote.
Okay.
The vast majority of discomfort as a trans person is from cisgender people, unquote. This was said by a 15-year-old individual in the documentary. And when they said this, I was like, this is really interesting. This is really provocative. It's evolved. But also, too, I'm wondering, I hope that this person, that their family and the people around them are supporting them, are having them maybe talk to professionals, that sort of thing. Because I wonder if these individuals, these kids that are growing up, especially this person saying the vast majority of discomfort as a trans person is from cisgender people, I wonder if this person, if they're not being supported, could grow up to be someone who hates people. You know what I'm saying? And I wonder what you think about provocative statements like this and what it's saying to us as society about these kids. Another example is another individual says, I came out to my mom as lesbian. Then I came out to my mom as bisexual. Came out to my mom as transgender. And then as trans. And then I came out to everyone as bisexual. And then I came out as lesbian. And these issues weren't issues when I was coming up because I'm gay. And people were, you're gay, you're lesbian, maybe you're bisexual, whatever. And society in 2023 seems so much more complicated. And I wonder when, in your film, you have these two examples, what this says to you as the filmmaker about the state of youth today, especially trans youth and queer youth. What are your thoughts?
Let's talk about those quotes one by one. The first one, which is said by a camper named Spider, to me, what it illuminated was just how monumental the freedom he was experiencing at camp was. This was the first time that he was out in the world just being who he wanted to be.
Authentically.
And not having to justify or explain any aspect of it. And I really saw this from him during the course of camp. I saw that he was expressing himself through different fashions, expressing himself through doing different activities, opportunities that are not afforded to hardly any trans kids out in the world. Even with the most well-meaning of households, there's so much that you just wouldn't know to offer a young person like Spider if you were an allied family member as opposed to somebody who belongs to the same community as him. So for that moment for me was about the safety of camp and really illuminating for viewers just how scary it can be being out in the world in trans. When it comes to the scene where Manisa talks about coming out to their mom several times over, I noticed that a theme with a lot of these campers was their parents were fully on board. Let me back up, actually. I will say Spider comes from an incredibly supportive household. Very supportive. Spider's very taken care of by his family, which I was really happy to see. When it comes to Manisa coming out several times to their mom, a theme that I noticed with a lot of these campers was that they're very well-intentioned and extremely on-board families. They just wanted to know how they wanted to be treated. They wanted to know a little bit more about their identities. Who, as a kid, does not want to be understood? You know, and that's what I saw from hearing from these kids that came out multiple times. They knew that they were safe with their families. They knew that their families were wanting to understand them. And so as a result, having that expectation to identify who you are and define who you are, to me just looked like them feeling comfortable being who they were, even if it meant going from this, that, to the third, as opposed to waiting until they had a concrete answer for who they are, which, you know, although it does work like that for some people, I think the freedom to shift and discover who you are and then, you know, figure out you're something else that's an incredible freedom that I was so happy to see that so many of them had.
And I think too, those two scenes are powerful and provocative and thought-provoking scenes. I'll say that. You've been in Canadian media for a number of years. You've worked on Canada's Drag Race.
I did, yeah. I produced it.
Big Brother Canada.
Yeah.
I love me some Big Brother.
Oh, me too. I can talk about it forever.
I love
that show.
Big Brother. I love Big Brother Canada.
It's so good.
I do exit interviews for Big Brother Canada.
Oh my gosh.
Interviewed Arissa and the guests, the house guests for a number of years.
It's the best version. It's the best version of the franchise, Canada.
It is.
I stand by that.
It's very good.
Yeah.
It's very good.
The seasons I didn't work on, even, you know?
Marsha the Moose, whatever.
Marsha the Moose.
Like, whatever happened, like, anyway. How will general audiences be able to see this documentary? Because I'm sure it's doing the festival circuit scene. But will it be on like a CBC Gem, on a Crave, or some sort of a streaming platform? Or talk to me about that.
We have a Canadian distributor. We have TVA and Super Channel in Canada. We're currently looking for an American distributor. So keep in touch, because by the time this goes live, we may have solved that issue, and I may have more answers for you.
Well said, well said. Last question for you, Jen Markowitz. What do you want your audience, whether it's at a film festival or someone at home watching it on TV or streaming it, what do you hope audiences come away with from this documentary, Summer Camp, after they've seen it?
I think my main priority in that respect is to get young queer people in front of this documentary in hopes that they will, if they do not already know this, that they will see that they can have a full and a long life, full of joy with a community that will embrace them. That is my number one priority, to bring a little bit of affirmation to this community that is represented in the film. Other than that, I think I would love for people to see this as a group of teens doing teen stuff, regular teen stuff, dancing with their crushes, dyeing their hair, gossiping,
and then being told not to dye your hair.
being told not to dye your hair and not to have romance. Those are universal concepts, right? And I really tried to work to create a narrative that had that universality to it, in hopes that people would see that this is not a community to be othered.
Well said, well done, well filmed, well produced, well made.
Thank you.
Jen Markowitz, thank you so much for your time.
It's a real pleasure to talk to you.
Summer Camp is currently doing the film festival circuit scene, but keep a lookout when it comes to Super Channel and TVA.
Hi, this is Michael Anthony Alago, music executive, photographer, author, and you are listening to Rainbow Country with Mark Tara.
Hi, my name is Joanne Vanicola, and I'm an actor and a writer, and I was first on Rainbow Country with Mark Tara on discussing the massacre at Pulse Club in Orlando. I realized how important it was for our community to have a radio station, specifically for our issues, to talk about people in the LGBTQ community, and to provide an outlet for our stories, to discuss our politics, culture, and give voice to the issues that matter to us, and of course our artists and the things that we do globally, and talk about culture. And without people like Mark Tara providing a space for this with a radio show like this, then we wouldn't have that voice. So support, tune in. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Agnes. My new record, Magic Still Exists, is out now. You are listening to Rainbow Country with Mark Tara.
Up next, my on-location interview for Solo. This French-Canadian film tells a queer love story set against Montreal's drag scene. I catch up with award-winning Canadian actor and star of Solo, Felix Maritaud. Felix Maritaud, hi, how are you?
Hi, I'm fine. I'm really happy to be here.
Thank you for being here. Okay, how do you say your last name properly? Because I know I butchered it.
So, you can say Maritaud, it's okay to me, but in French, with the proper French accent, it's Felix Maritaud.
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 But I know it's hard to...
That's as good as it gets, girl.
Yeah.
Okay, so let us start. I have to say thank you for being here, to have your voice, your story be heard by the LGBT community and beyond. So thank you for that, especially to talk about Solo.
Yeah.
This is a new Canadian French film that's out now. It's out here at TIFF, and I'm sure it's doing the film festival circuit scene.
Yeah.
You play Olivier
exactly
in the film. Let's start from the ground up. Talk to me about the story in Solo. What's this movie about?
So the movie is about quickly a love story between two guys that are drag queens. And it's a toxic relationship, so it goes like dramatic, like a movie, you know. What is the most interesting to me in this movie is that it's not a movie related to, that speaks about queer culture related to heteropatriarchy or normativity. It's like queer gaze it's a queer story with queer people, and that's just the way it is, It's not like related to a norm or an outside. It's just, a love story that goes a little bit like bad.
So you play Olivier. You do drag in the film.
Yeah.
Okay, so first of all, have you ever done drag before?
So, no. So it was my first time in full drag as a performer. But when I was a fine art school student, I used to play with gender in happenings and performances, but never in the drag. Drag is a culture, it's codes, and it's like an art in itself. And I've learned a lot through this experience.
Did you have to go to some sort of a drag boot camp to prepare for your role in Solo?
So I had like a lot of dance classes, like high heel classes and stuff, and dance classes to change the movement of my body to feel more feminine, because I'm a quite rough masculine guy at everyday life. But by chance, I'm a gay guy, so I have lots of drag queen friends and, dolls and girls that show me the way it is to have like this kind of, sense of humor. And even if society wants us bad, we feel great about that. It's okay. You make me feel like shit, but I feel precious. And that was part of my friends before the movie, so it was really inspiring.
So in Solo, you play Olivier, and your character is very controlling, maybe even like toxic.
Yeah.
Clearly. Was playing that role, was it easy for you? Was it difficult? Talk to me about playing that particular character.
Wow. I have lots of gratitude to have like played this character, because like even if it's toxic, my goal as an actor is to give humanity to a character. So I had to go find my humanity and my love for this toxicity, because every person does its best. Even if you do shit to people, it's your best, and it's just your suffering. Sometimes suffering and pain is so inside to get out. It has to burn everyone around. And it taught me a lot about myself too, because before the movie I was feeling like, I'm super okay and stuff, and I realized that maybe it's not like the most interesting thing in life to be okay. It's interesting to be yourself fully in front of everything that comes to your life. And so I feel grateful. It was hard, because the mind setup of a toxic person is really into control, really into envy and jealousy, and into feelings, like to make someone fall in love with you, to use and abuse their love to feel existing. This kind of vampire thing, I've been there, so was quite amazing. But with Theodore as a partner and Sophie as a director, it was like really a blast, because we were always talking about our feelings, our stories, and how we feel the scenes. So it was really like healing for everybody.
Was it easy to let go of this character after you finished the movie? Was it easy to say goodbye to Olivier?
Yeah, I mean, like, it was a really big experience. After this movie, I had like a big time with myself, because I came to parts of my own psyche that I wasn't aware of. So I had like to cleanse it up and to put me back into, okay, who am I now? But that's the job. That's how I want to be an actor, I want to feel wider every time I embrace a character. It's
keep the things that you like and let go of the things that you don't like.
Yeah, everything has a meaning in life. I mean, there's no bad or good things. I mean, like, you can create or destruct, but that's how life goes, you know? Without violence, there's no life, and without life, there's no violence. That's the way it goes. After this movie, I was more into, like, how can I navigate all of that that I've been touching with this character, all of this pain, and you know, I feel really, I have lots of love for him because I felt his pain, his inner child crying inside, and nobody has the arms to make him feel better, and that's tragic. But that's the case for a lot of men, white men, all around the world. You know, it's like it's something that the male body is not. Most of the time, we don't have opportunity to ask ourselves, do I feel good? Because you have to do things. You don't have to feel. You have to do. You know, it's like, it's really like strict. So yeah, it was really a pleasure to do that.
Okay, so you are a multi-award-winning actor. Congrats on that.
Thank you.
2018 Cannes Film Festival, Rising Star Award. You received the Rising Star Award, at Cannes 2018.
Yeah, I know.
The French magazine, I believe it's called
Têtu, yeah.
They dubbed you the new hero of French queer cinema. The new hero of French queer cinema. So here's the question. Is it a conscious choice for you to go after roles like queer roles, LGBT roles, to pave a path for yourself, to be known potentially as a queer actor, and to make that, and to put that signpost down for yourself, that is the path that you're paving for yourself? Is it a conscious choice for you to go after these roles?
It's, I won't say it in a total way, but it's more tricky than that for me. It's like, I'm a gay guy. I can't believe in this society for whom it's still problematic to have desire. You know, desire is so beautiful. It's like the essence of life. So to me, you have to be unapologetic about that. And as an actor, as an artist, when I read scenarios about guys, characters around my age that are straight, the vision I have to put into masculinity, it's not enough for me, because masculinity is something that has been like stuck in a one way. So I better like queer films for that, because characters that are...
You could be more nuanced.
Yeah, and at the same time, I realized in 2020 that I was the first guy in France who's an actor that is gay. I play gay roles, and I talk about gay things on the media. And, you know, when I was 12, and life is really hard when you're gay at 12 years old, or teenagehood is really like harsh. You feel like you don't belong. And I feel really proud now, because I know some small lookalike me, they got me now to have someone to talk about them. And so for that, I mean, I'm really open. You know, I just shoot a movie. I play a toxic guy, like, with guns and stories like that, action movie. But I like queer films because I needed them when I was a child. And my whole view on getting older is to come back to the child I would love to have been, you know? So, because I like poetry and, you know, things like this. So now, Têtu, they made this statement that is not true, because...
It's a great statement. You should
own
it.
I love it. But, you know, at the same time, I don't want to be like a figure. I can be like someone that takes part of it. But to me, queer culture, we don't need gurus. Everyone has a story. Everyone has a soul that is so shining, and we have to talk about all those souls, because that's what's make us queer. You know, sharing experiences, traumas, love. Okay. To learn how to love again, it's like, that's a lot, and I can't have that all on me, you know. But I'm really proud. When I travel around in Istanbul or in Taiwan, and I see how much people they need queer narratives, they need it, you know. It's like, because us in Western Occidental cultures, we made it, like we have like aunties and stuff, they made all right now, and it's easier and easier. But for some people now, they just can't exist
in other parts of the world.
Yeah.
And
on the other hand, like, it starts to be way more dangerous to exist as a queer person right now. Like, it's here and in France too.
2018 again. Savage.
Yes.
Wild.
One.
Okay, so here's the deal with me. So a few years ago, I just randomly saw this film.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow. First of all, you should know something about me. I hate subtitles.
Okay.
I hate subtitles. I go to a film to see a film, not to read it.
Yeah, I understand.
But I loved this film. It is so harsh, beautiful, and so nuanced, and you are amazing in this film.
Thank you very much.
And if people are listening, check out 2018's Savage/Wild, wherever you get your streaming movies. How was it being in that project and playing that character?
Oh, wow. I mean, like, you know, my whole life is a story about angels giving me the opportunity to feel alive. So this was the best gift I had. I mean, you know.
Did you audition for it?
It was special. It was like we were shooting BPM, and another actor was reading the script on the makeup station. And I arrived and said to him, "Oh, what's that?" And he gave me the script, and he told me, "That's the movie for you." And then I met the director. He was like, "But you don't look like my character." And I told him, "But I'm gonna make him an angel." Because, you know, I knew this guy from, you know, dark side of the earth. I come from the ground, you know, from the mud, and I'm happy about that, because that's where you get to know life. And I wanted to put some innocence and light on that. And yeah, I can't watch this movie again, because first I was really young, and now I feel old. I have like white hairs and stuff. But, you know, it's I feel it like a blessing, because because it talks about sex work, and
you play a homeless hustler, essentially.
Exactly. And I mean, like, to give this. And nothing goes well for him, but he's the strongest. And I was really, I felt really lucky about this film. And, you know, it was the first time it was my second movie, and it was the first time I was feeling like, okay, I'm responsible of an emotion. And we did a scene, and it was a really intense scene. And at what time I totally spaced out. And there was this fantasy of the character saying to me, "You thought you knew what my suffering was, and now I'm gonna show you." And this kind of mystical experience, I live for it. You know, it's like channeling an energy that says only the truth. And I mean, like, we need that. You know, truth can be cruel, but it's always like at the end, it's harmonious.
So here's my last question for you. Solo.
Yeah.
What do you hope audiences, when they get a chance to see it, what do you hope audiences come away with when they see Solo?
Oh, I don't want to seem pretentious, but what I know is that the whole energy of love, caring, beauty, acceptance, empowerment, and joy we put in that movie, I know it's in it. And I know that people that are ready to catch this, they're gonna feel it. You know, this movie changed everyone's life on the set, the experience of it, and I know it's gonna spread through the film. I just can't wait, because I know people, they need love. I'm okay to give to them. Like, it's so good, you know. Sorry, I'm a hippie, you know. I'm a troll, like.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well said, Felix. Well said, well done, well filmed, well made. Thank you for your time. Thanks for being on the show.
Thank you. My pleasure.
FYI, Solo won the Best Canadian Feature Film at this year's TIFF. For more information, simply visit solo-lefilm.com.
Bill 7, to ban discrimination in employment, government services, and housing, based on a person's sexual orientation, was up for a vote at Queen's Park. Most NDP and Liberal MPPs supported the bill, but without some progressive Conservative legislators' backing, a divisive split could rack the province. 4 PCs decided to break party ranks to vote with their conscience and support Bill 7. Cabinet Minister and MPP Dennis Timbrell did it to show solidarity for his beloved brother, the well-known drag queen Rusty Ryan. And for me, a gay politician who was not yet out, I had to take a stand. We were known as the Gang of Four. I'm former Cabinet Minister and MPP Phil Gillies. The date, December 2nd, 1986, when LGBT rights came to Ontario.
And just like that, this little gay journey through Rainbow Country has come to an end. For the full 2-hour episode, simply head over to marktara.com, where everything is connected, and hit the archives banner. The Rainbow Country Podcast is available on all major platforms. And finally, I want to take this time to thank you for taking your time to be with me. Remember, we are living in days of making dreams come true, so believe in yourself, and the world will believe in you.
Hi, I'm Cameron Bailey, Artistic Director and Co-Head of TIFF, the Toronto International Film Festival. You're listening to Rainbow Country with Mark Tara.